Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Mastermind. I am Paul Baxter, implementation coach for the Mortgage Mastermind Group. I'm definitely here to help you grow. We are here gathered together on this beautiful Monday afternoon, and we're here for open discussion. Monday is always a chance for us to get together and discuss whatever topics are on your mind, whatever questions you've got. We want you to feel free to shoot them at it. It can be anything from technical stuff, what button do I click to make this go, to mindset. You know, how do I pump myself up to make those calls on Tuesday mornings? How do I get my mind right to be able to sit down and just hammer out those calls like I need to, and everything in between. So that being said, I mentioned just before we got started on the recorder, our friendly mastermind, Miss Peggy Wilson, posted a fantastic question on our private group on Facebook. And I asked if she could, if she didn't mind if we answered the question on the call, because the question, I think everybody on the call, if you're not feeling it today, you felt it sometime in your past, and I'd love to hear your experience on how you were able to overcome it or what choices you made to better your business at the end of the day. And for those of you that are experiencing it now, I think it's important for you to hear the question out loud from somebody else and hear the kind of answer and get some clarity on for your own business as it relates to this question. So let me read the question aloud. I need to multiply myself. I'm sure we've all experienced that. I have so many things I really want to do, but don't have time to do them. Which should I start first? Do I implement phone burner to make the calls I currently should be but don't have time to do? Or I was really thinking about hiring a VA after the first of the year to help me with my social media, making follow-up calls, editing videos, and etc. But I had such a bad experience once before, and I want to make sure that that does not happen again, but I know I could really benefit from having one. So what Peggy's saying here is that business is keeping her, she's busy enough, she's gotten to a critical mass in her business where it's preventing her from doing the high dollar activities, the things that she knows will produce more results. It'll give her more loans, but she's gotten to a critical mass because she feels like she doesn't have enough time in the day to accomplish these things. She needs an extra person. And I can tell you from knowing Peggy, she does work from kind of a modified time block. It's not a true 100% time block, but she does time block her day. She has specific days and specific times that she does things. So it's not a matter of just better time blocking to be able to accomplish this. She's got a real problem. And the problem is either she needs another person to take some of the things off of her plate, or she's got to, kind of make a choice as to where to focus. And she knows putting that person on the plate. So let me kind of break down both of these. The first thing is, should you implement phone burner, that you know that if you blocked out, let's say, an hour of time utilizing phone burner, you could plow through 30, 40, 50 calls in that period of time with a good voice message, which more likely than not, because it's your voice on the voice message, Peggy, you're going to get a good number of calls back, depending on who the target of that particular call is. You know that that's going to give you an immediate and instant impact in terms of one of your other strategies, which is realtor stacking and face-to-face opportunities. Peggy, I know you. You're a personality person. Anybody sit down in front of, if you were to sit down in front of or with Peggy Wilson, I guarantee you would leave there thinking, what a cool chick, what a really cool lady. They would enjoy it. You're a personality person, and so the phone burner thing is going to give you more opportunities to sit down face to face, and phone burner is going to cost you about $70 a month to have unlimited number of phone calls that you make. On the other side of that, if you hire a VA, you're going to have a person that is going to do your daily, your Facebook engagement formula. They're going to get on there and they're going to go in and be able to separate your list for you, and they're going to make posts on your behalf, and they're going to find all your past clients on there and become friends with them. They can really manage that. It takes a level of trust to give that level of access to your social media. But if you're talking about having a social media manager, you really have to be able to give up that level, because it's your personal profile where a majority of your money is going to be made on social media, because it's all about engagement, developing relationships. Now, you're also going to have them editing your videos for you, which is awesome. That's going to take a lot of time off of your plate. They can even, once your video is edited, they can get it to your YouTube channel. They could generate that email over to Joe to get it up to your website. They can even go as far as getting the email set up and sent for you so that that entire thing is automated. Once you record your video, you send an email with the link to your recorded video wherever you've uploaded. I recommend Dropbox because it's easy for them to download from Dropbox. And they take the rest from there. In your email, you simply describe where to make the edits and what you want, and they do the rest of that entire strategy from there. Okay? And then you're talking about a third item, which is make follow-up calls. Now, what my experience with the VAs has been is that you're going to find when you find a person that is really good, really adept, and really trustworthy on the technical side of things, they're not the person that's going to be very good at making the phone calls. They don't like doing the phone calls. It's hard for them to do. It's a tedious task. You're going to end up having somebody that doesn't like to do that part of the job, and they're not going to do it quite as well because they're not as good at it, and their personality doesn't, it would reflect there. The other side of it, if you find somebody that's going to make those calls, they're going to love doing that part. They'll sit there and dial all day long if you let them, and they'll be happy to talk to people. They're friendly, but they're going to really, really suck at the editing. It's going to take them 3-4 days to edit your video because they don't know how, or they can't get it updated to your, they can't figure out how to get the email sent with it connected to it, and the technical things are a difficulty for them. So what you're talking about in reality with that is two different people. At minimum, with one person, you're talking about $80 to $100 a week, about $400 a month. But again, it takes a lot of things off of your plate. So the question really becomes, they will always work your time zone. They will always work in your time zone. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing I want you to think about. Here's the reality of the answer to this question, and you just kind of hit the nail on the head as I'm reading through some of your follow-up here, Peggy. You kind of hit the nail on the head. So what it says here in some of the follow-up is, I'm okay with giving up control to a VA. I'm just not getting blog posts done. For example, totally not using MWS to its fullest. That's Mortgage Web Success for those that don't know. That's her website system. I'm not getting videos repurposed and things like that. So what if you did this? What if you did go ahead and step outside the box and hire that VA to handle doing your technical things, to handle making sure that, all you've got to do is spend an hour to record the video, get it uploaded to Dropbox, and that person knows that every Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they go to Dropbox, or they're going to get an email from Peggy that says, cut out the beginning. You'll see where I have one long shot, cut out the beginning and the end, and get this uploaded. They'll take the reins from there. They'll do those things. They'll get your social media posts done. They'll create lists on your social sites and be able to go in there and do your daily 10s and engage with people and create posts and content. They'll be able to update your blog with, they can go through, they can have alerts sent to them about mortgage specific updates, and they can update your blog with cool mortgage articles and links and things like that. They can do all those technical things. But like I said, it's two different people, and you're saying we're talking about two different people to make calls. But think about this. If all of these other things are taken off your plate, Peggy, You don't have to worry about editing any more videos or getting them uploaded to your blog site for your video blog, or getting the email set up and sent out because somebody's doing that for you. And you don't have to worry about emailing Joe to get your web page set up with your new video on it, and emailing because somebody's doing those things for you. You don't have to worry about, you know, all the Facebook engagement that you need to do each day because somebody's doing that for you. Would it stand to reason then that you now have time to make those phone calls? You now have time to plug in and dive in and really hammer those phones pretty hard if somebody's doing all those other things for you. So the real answer is not one versus the other. The real answer is, yes, get that VA hired to do technical things for you, to do the techie stuff, and then you keep hold of, and you will now have free time. Once they're up and trained, you now have the time to be able to make your follow-up phone calls because you're not worried about getting in or getting that email off to Joe today to make sure that your video's up. You're not worried about getting in on Facebook and making sure that you make a post on your, you know, Lehigh Valley mortgage girls page and then engaging with 10 people in a productive way. You don't have to worry about those things. Yep. Plus, if all that other stuff were getting done, the phone would be ringing more. Absolutely. Can you please do a class on that soon? Hiring a VA, not making mistakes. My problem is that I want, yeah, and you know what? Everybody wants a Gerard. Everybody wants a Chris Arbery. And for those of you that don't know, that's just the names of a couple of VAs that are really, really good. And you know what? We all run into we've had an issue. You know, I've experienced the bad side of it as well, Peggy, and I get it. It's not easy. And yes, I will definitely do a class on that, and I'll be happy to help you with that process because it is a process, but it doesn't have to be very difficult, and you can do it just as if they're sitting in front of you. The great thing about it is technology makes it much easier for us to be able to hire a good person and you know, have a better chance of making that right hire the first time. There's a couple of key questions in your interview that you've got to ask to make sure that you're getting what it is that you want, because in reality you don't have the next 40 hours to spend training a person to what you want them to do. You've got about 2 or 3 hours that you want to be able to show them some stuff and for them to be able to take the bull by the horns, which is what Gerard did. You know, she's taking the bull by the horns, and at this point she understands where she's at and what she does for the business based on conversations, and it's based on rapport between her and Richard as well, that she knows where she has a, you know, she goes to training classes. She comes on and hangs out and learns about a new strategy and then goes to Richard and says, hey, let's try this, let's implement this, instead of vice versa. And that's the kind of person you're looking for. And yeah, I'll be glad to do a class on that because I get it. It's not easy to do. And you know what, guys, the reality is I also have some people that reach out to me on a fairly regular basis that are looking for that VA type work, that I know their you know, I know them, they know me, and there are some good people out there, and I do get people that reach out to me time to time. So if, you know, as a matter of fact, my man Chris Arbery sent me a message today just saying Merry Christmas to me. You know, it's just we sent the Merry Christmas to one another. So I am still in contact with lots of VAs that may be available to you and can help you. So I'm glad to share that if I've got somebody that's available. But we'll go over a class on that, Peggy, and talk about it. But the real answer to your question is and this goes for anybody listening, if you are in a position where you've reached that critical mass, you've reached a point where you're finding yourself needing somebody, you know, hey, I need to duplicate myself because I'm not able to get all the things done that I need to get done. And it's because you've reached a critical mass because you're doing the right amount of business. That's great. Things are good. but you've reached a critical mass, and now the things that you know that are producing you the business are starting to not be able to get done because you're doing a lot of business. That's when you really need to start making that next decision to start thinking about bringing in another person. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a virtual assistant, doesn't necessarily have to be a live assistant. It doesn't have to be a full-time assistant. It can be somebody that works 10 hours a week for you. And trust me, you can find people that'll do some good stuff for you for 10 hours a week at $8 to $10 an hour in a live situation. Now, your virtual assistants, the way that it works for them, because we're getting them at $2, $2.50 an hour, the expectation is that it's a full-time employee. You typically will not be able to hire a VA part-time because for them it's not worth it. And if you do find somebody that's doing that, they're also working for somebody else. And trust me on this, if you don't have a virtual assistant 100% focus on your stuff, a mistake will get made. I've seen it too many times, even from the best of the VAs. If you're thinking of a VA, you need to hire them full-time, even if you don't have full-time work, because the reality of it is what you're paying them is still, not the same as what you'd pay somebody part-time here. But if you need somebody that's in your office that's sitting down making calls for you because you can't, bring in somebody for 10 hours a week that they come in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from noon to 5 o'clock on both those days, and all they do is they make calls. That is some of the best investment you can ever make if you're at that critical mass, because doing that will free up the time to do the other things. That's the direct, it really will free up that time to be able to focus on the efforts that you're making and growing your business. If you're at a critical mass, I don't recommend that if you're not doing an amount of business, if you're not at a critical mass, don't run out there and hire somebody thinking that's going to bring you to critical mass, because the reality of it is you've already got enough time to do the things to produce those extra loans. Produce those extra loans first. Put your business in a position where you have to have somebody else to be able to move forward from where you're at. And that's where Peggy's at today. So good stuff. Great question. I like it. And then Peggy had a second question here. What's the difference between a secret group and a closed group? So the difference between a secret group and a closed group is a secret group, like if I were to search for fishing groups, if I were to search for fishing groups on Facebook, and I just went to, those are posts, and I went over here to groups, and I'm looking for just groups about fishing or groups about mortgages or any of those things. These would be either open groups or private groups. See, this one's a closed group. A closed group means I have to request to join. A public group means that if I click this join button, I automatically am a member. With a closed group, I can click the join button, but the administrator has to approve me. On a private group or a secret group, as Peggy called it, a secret group, what happens is you won't see them in this list. They're not even available for you to go out and find. You have to be invited to those groups. And why is that stuck there and not scrolling? Sorry about that, everybody. I don't know if anybody saw that picture that was up there, but that was not one that was for all age groups. I apologize. And I was in a fishing group. That's weird. But that's what the difference in a private group and a secret group is. A private group just means if somebody requests to join, the administrator has to approve them. Membership is by approval only. A secret group means that you can't even find them. MMG should not be a secret group, is it? Well, that's no good. I want people to be able to find us. I don't want to be a secret group. Let's fix that right now. No, I just want to be a closed group. I don't want to be secret. I don't want to say, don't keep a, hey, do me a favor. Anybody on this call? Anybody on this call, do me a favor, please. Don't keep me a secret. We would appreciate it greatly if you did not keep us a secret. We do not want to be a secret. You can tell anybody you want about us. Sound good? No secrets here. And thank you for letting me know that. I did not know that. I did not know that that was a secret group, so thank you. Now we're just a, did it say it was sending me an email? I thought it said it was going to send me a confirmation email on that. But now we're just a closed group. That means you got to ask to join our group. You got to kind of ask to join our group. So I hope that answered your question on, you know, being a little over busy and making sure that that you can get all of the things done that generate the most amount of money. And I got to tell you, Peggy, you know it as well as I do that those phone calls are probably the single most important part of the business. You know, we all know it. Every coach out there is, we're all coaching about, you know, pick up the phone, make the calls. Pick up the phone, make the calls. Some guys will yell at you about it. Some guys will tell you to hire somebody to do it for you. Some guys, you know, they'll tell you to do it on the computer. It boils down to, we're all still teaching you, pick up the phone, make the dial, get face-to-face, and develop a relationship. I mean, that's what it boils down to, is just, you got to pick up the phone. You know, you meet these people. You know who the agents in your area are. Most of you have spent at least a little bit of time focusing on targeting the right agents, not just agents in general. Most of you have spent the time to do that. Now it's just a matter of doing whatever it takes to get them to sit down with you face-to-face. Just get them to sit down with you for a couple of minutes, because that's where you're going to make your money. And I firmly believe that you can't get to that point with just a bunch of emails. You can't get to that point with a whole bunch of videos. You can't get to that point by being cool on Facebook. Those things will warm them up enough to when you do make that call, you've got a better opportunity for yes, but you can't substitute the call. And I hear people all the time, I want to have somebody make the calls for me. I caution you against that, because those follow-up calls, that's part of the relationship building. It's like, you know, back in when we were back in the day when I would teach folks about that agent mastermind system, it was like, you know, oh, well, if I'll have this person, I'll have my assistant pick up the phone and dial all those people, and I'll have her make stacks for me, and they're going to just dial all the people that ever registered, and they're just going to stack me up, and I'll have days every week where I've got 6 or 7. The reality of it is first of all, it was very difficult for the assistant to set the appointments, because the assistant's not the cool person that sent that. They're just calling on behalf of. And when you're talking about trying to build a relationship, you can't start it with the assistant. The assistant call is for 6 months down the line. You've done 4 or 5 transactions. It's okay then to have your, hey, Paul wanted me to give you a quick call and just make sure you didn't have anybody we needed to get mortgage ready for you this weekend. They already know your assistant. They called once or twice. You probably answered the phone for them or whatever, but that's, the relationship's already built. You can't start the relationship that way. You've got to be the one to do it, and there's no substitute for that. You got to pick up that phone and make those dials, and if where Peggy's at today is she needs some help with some of the other stuff to be able to make sure that that happens, or something's going to get missed. How important do you think a CRM is? MWS does a lot, but not all. I calendar stuff in my Google Calendar, but feel like I should have MPC or something. I don't. So Peggy, tell me what it is that you're missing in a CRM. What is it that you want that CRM to be able to do? I mean, a CRM, obviously you put your contact information in there. It stores all of their information. You've got email addresses. A good CRM will give you a way to market to those people that are in there. The other side of it is a good CRM is going to have already a client side and a prospect client side. And so tracking people through the process is where the dilemma in a CRM lies, and a true CRM will have a way to do that. Most of your regular what they call a CRM, which is more of a customer contact manager than a customer retention manager or a customer relations manager. A contact manager is more just, you got the information here, you can send them emails really quickly because it's all in one spot, and you can see how many emails you've sent them and what all you've sent them, but it's not going to track them through a sales process. It doesn't have any way to move them from one part of the sale to the next. Most don't use a true CRM system, moving them from one part of the sale to the next, because it requires a level of data entry. It requires a human being going in and physically changing the filter from warm prospect to hot prospect, or from pre-app to pre-approved to closed. It requires a level of somebody going in there and actually doing it. So the reality is most people don't use that if they do have it. So I don't see it being an important piece of the puzzle to have to pay for something that you guys aren't going to use. I think with what you've got with Mortgage Web Success, it's got everything you're going to use in it already, except it doesn't have the tracking piece. It has the ability for you to add new people and you can group them by client, by prospect, by realtor prospect or realtor referral partner. You can do all those things inside there. You can send one email to an entire group. So if you want to send an email to all your prospects, you can do that. But it's not going to take a person and move them from one to a next, or track where they are in the process. You've got to physically go in there and do that. And I think that's the same case with every CRM system, is you've got to physically go in there and do it. Unless, and that's where, somebody like Richard with Gerard, he's got a person she is the dedicated data entry person. He provides her with a little report, and she updates the entire thing and sends him back a report of what he needs to do. So it's not so much just having a CRM system to do these things, Peggy. It's having somebody to manage the CRM system to really get the impact out of it. Just going out and buying MPC isn't going to solve the issue. It's having somebody to manage that for you. You could get away with Pipedrive will do everything that MPC will do. It's every bit as powerful. But again, it's MPC or Pipedrive are both worthless if you don't have somebody or a way to really manage it. Does that make sense? Yes, I couldn't agree more. Spend your money where it counts. Absolutely. And I'm not discouraging you from getting a system. And you know what? I like Pipedrive for what you're doing, because you could track everything in the world in Pipedrive in the way you want to. And then you just simply go over to MWS and, this group of my prospects need to get that Wednesday email newsletter. I need to go into MWS and send my Wednesday newsletter real quick to my prospect list. I hope that makes sense. It's more about having somebody to manage it than having just a system. And if you don't have somebody to manage it, you typically are just going to use the the easiest parts of it, or the parts of it that are going to give you, you're going to be able to get by and do something. And so if we're managing it ourselves, just keep what you've already got, because you've got the ability, all the abilities that a good CRM system has. It's for what you're going to be using. Awesome. All right. This is the Peggy and Paul show today. Anybody else have any questions that came in here with today? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller. Anybody remember that movie? That's an 80s great right there. Who else watched Frosty the Snowman not Frosty the Snowman, excuse me. That wasn't on the other night. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Did anybody watch that with me the other night? Yeah, me too. It was great. Made my 15-year-old son, who all he wanted to do was play Xbox, sit down and watch it with me. He hated me for it, but it was fun. And don't ever feel guilty about coming in here with questions. That's what it's all about, is come on in here, have questions. I want to answer those questions that you've got for you as best I possibly can, and put you guys, on the path to implementation. I know several of us, or several of you guys, are looking at presentations for 2015 as being part of your business plan. And so let's talk about that. I hope that our little series that we've been doing this month has been productive as far as that goes, as far as, making sure, hey, here's what we're going to be doing, here's the focus of it, here's how I can put it together, here's how I can get help with it, here's some actual, here's the doggone class I'm going to be teaching. You don't even need to create that stuff. I want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to implement that strategy, because it's one that, I have watched more than one mortgage lender implement that strategy, and from the time they started to where they are now, you would never think it was the same mortgage business. I mean, it's the difference between hoping to get 3 or 4 loans a month to consistently doing 17 loans a month every single month for the last probably about a year and a half now, is what he's been doing, 17 loans a month consistently. And he has his months where he goes 25 or, more than that, and he has a couple of months where he's done around 14. But consistently, the average is 17 loans a month now. Started at 3 or 4 loans a month, by the way. And yes, it's all about presentations. And no, it didn't jump from 4 to 17 in 30 days on the first presentation. It didn't happen in the first 90 days. Quite frankly, it took about 6 to 8 months to really start to get some legs underneath it and really chugging forward. But through consistency and everything else, it's turned into a big part of his business. And for another guy down in Texas, you all know him, Richard Smith. Peggy was just talking about him with his VA, Gerard. That's his entire marketing strategy. That's what he does to generate business, and that is all he does to generate business. And it's a great thing, and he's doing really good business these days. James, it's not a client of mine, and so he's not one of my clients any longer. He's somebody that I worked with in a previous life. And he is still working with that other coach, and I'm on a recorder, and I don't know that I should be mentioning names on a recorder if it's somebody else. But it's somebody that I worked with, kind of way back in the very beginnings, and kind of kick-started some of the things he's doing. I can't put the name on the recorder. I apologize, James. I'll shoot you an email and let you know who it is, and you can reach out to him. And what he was implementing was just he started doing presentations. The first few got with a title company and introduced, the title company was kind of had an in with a brokerage that wasn't too far from them, and so they got about 7 or 8 of the agents from that specific broker to come to a presentation. And then he went to the broker of that particular realty company and said, hey, you know, did you like what we did? We would be happy to come in here and do it at your location for all of your people. And he started doing that with the title company in tow, and that developed a relationship with the broker. And then that led into being introduced to a couple of people from the local real estate association, and now he does some stuff with the Realtor Association, got those lists, and it all just kind of snowballed and leveraged into doing presentations, and people started talking about it and talking, you know, mentioning it, and started seeing him everywhere, or seeing, and it was more about they were seeing his invitations every time they turned around, coming from their broker, coming from the Realtor Association, coming from him, coming from other realtors. And so that word of mouth and just being recognizable as doing something different. He never really had more than 10 or 12 people show up to any of his presentations, but it didn't matter. It was the fact that he was, you know, always inviting people to some sort of presentation he was doing that always, you know, it kept snowballing and branding him as that expert. Oh, presentations, just a presentation on how to build a Facebook fan page for a single property listing. Presentations on how to use agent marketing single property websites. I put together a presentation on how to get started with video marketing for him. He's done presentations on first-time home buyers, do's and don'ts. He did a presentation on how to farm a neighborhood using single property websites. He did a presentation on how to search engine optimize a video on YouTube. Wonder where he got that one from. But I mean, he's done a presentation on lots of different things. So he invited the agents kind of the same way that I showed you last week, James. He invited them via social media. He did a Facebook ad. He invited them via email to his own list, and he also created an email template and sent it over to the broker and the title company that he was partnered with, and they both sent it out to their list as well. So basically he did email and Facebook ads, but he had not only his list to email, but he had the brokerage and the title company send out the same email. And it was just an RSVP at an email address, and it was always his email address that they all RSVP'd to. And Peggy says, we all solemnly pledged to do presentations in 2015. That's awesome. Presentations are good stuff. I am telling you. Here's the thing you got to remember about it too, though, is it's not just the presentation that is giving you the way into a realtor's heart. Think about this: when a realtor sees an invitation coming from you, then they see an invitation coming from a title rep, or then they see your face on Facebook talking about the same thing. Whether they respond to it or not, they're seeing that. They're seeing that you're inviting agents to this thing that you're teaching agents on. And then next month they see it again, and next month they see it again, and next month they see it again. And it's always your face, and it's always you, you know, doing something, that's teaching class on something, and you're the one that's teaching it. You're not just providing access to something. You're the one that's doing this thing. And then maybe they hear from one of their colleagues that they know that, hey, if you know, I was at this thing about video marketing the other day. I'm going to get started on it. And they remember seeing the invitation from you, so it triggers in their mind. So it's just all these reiterations of you. They can't get away from you. You're always in their face. I mean, it's just constant. That's how you brand yourself as and stand out and differentiate yourself in your marketplace. Is you let them continuously see you as being somebody that's always doing something different, always giving more, always going that extra mile, always adding to it. They're, you know, this month, last month, the month before, next month. Even if they don't respond, you are buying their brain cells, whether they like it or not, because we're human beings, and we always want to, we recognize and we see things because of our reticular activator. We see things that happen within our own businesses. It's what we're surrounded by. You know, I can't help it when I walk out the door and I see somebody wearing a subtle fishing. I recognize it. I know what the Sims symbol looks like. I've never bought a stick of Sims fishing gear, but I see when the guys have the little emblem. It's the same thing when it's something that it's in our business, it's in our blood. We recognize those things trigger us, and they trigger feelings and emotions. And whether they responded or not, you're branding yourself every time you do it with more than just the people who are coming there. The people who are coming to your presentations, yeah, that's your true target for right now. But guess what? Everybody else is seeing that. And what will happen is your business starts to boom. And people start to recognize you and see you. And then all of a sudden you start to notice that you make a post on Facebook, and people that a target agent that they've never come to any of your stuff, you know they're on your list, they never respond. They respond to one of your posts, or they say something back, or they like a picture from one of your closings. Oh, now you're really starting to spike up their interest. And that's what it's all about. It's about giving you more opportunities. So when you do target that person, it rolls around that that person happens to come up on your call list, or they happen to be at the association event that you're at, and they see your stuff, and you walk up, hey, are you Peggy? I've been trying to meet you for a while. Hey, yep, you're Paul. You're that guy. I see you all over the place. You're always doing classes and videos and stuff. I always see you. Man, what would it take to treat you to a cup of coffee and get to pick your brain a little bit about how you've created such an amazing real estate business? I would love to share a meal with you and just kind of get to know you a little bit better. Are you available on Thursday? And because you've branded yourself differently, because they've seen you over and over again, and you're always doing something, and their feeling that you've created is that you're different than the rest, you're going to get that opportunity for face-to-face. And when you get face-to-face, that's when the game begins. That's when it's all about. So tell me about yourself, Peggy. Are you married? You got kids? Where are you from originally? Oh, divorced. Okay, you got a couple of kids. Oh, great. Grown kids. Awesome. Do they live locally? Canada? Are you kidding me? That's awesome. Oh, so you got like dual citizen grandkids and stuff going on. That's cool. Well, that sounds like fun. So tell me, how long have you been in the real estate business? Was this like, did you get into this like right out of college, or was this like your dream career? Tell me about your path to real estate business. You know any nice single guys? We'll work on that, Peggy. We'll work on that. But you hear what I'm saying. It's just about developing that relationship at that point. Just ask them about their Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Just put them in your Ford and drive them. Take them for a drive in your Ford. That's easy to do in Michigan. Put them in your Ford and drive. Well, guys, girls, I don't have any more questions in the question box. We got about 10 minutes till the top of the hour. So that being said, I'll let you guys roam free. Go get an extra 10-minute water break, or walk around the building, or if it's too cold out, don't walk around the building, or things like that. Just enjoy the rest of your day. Be prepared for Wednesday. Wednesday's class, we are going to be talking about consumer direct presentations. So kind of going into the other side of presentations. Instead, we've been focused so much on presenting to referral partners. That's been our complete talk, and that's really the strategy. When I think about presentations, that is the strategy that I think is the best strategy. Target referral partners, present something to them, and then leverage that into a relationship. That is number one on my list. However, I do know that consumer direct marketing or consumer direct presentations can also give you a really good kick in the pants in your business. And there's some subtle differences between wow, I had my microphone up the whole time. I'm surprised you guys could hear me. I had it up by my ear this whole time. I just realized it. Sorry about that. But consumer direct presentations can give you a nice little kick in the pants in your business, and it's not one that you want to do. Like you can do that on the regular basis, but kind of like with regular presentations, you would do it once a month kind of thing. It's going to cost you a little bit more because you typically have got to incent the group to come in there, breakfast or lunch, something like that. But again, there's ways to control that crowd when you're doing that. Oh, wow, sound was better with the previous microphone placement. Sounds better when I got it up here. It's not so loud. I sound like I'm probably yelling in the mic when I moved it down for today. But Consumer Direct, we'll talk about the different ways that you can do that. We can talk about how do you deflect what I call the free lunch brigade, which you're going to run into some of that with your Consumer Direct type of approaches. We're going to talk about partnering with Consumer Direct presentations and everything else. So that's it, guys. Girls, have a fantastic rest of your Monday. It is Opportunity Day. Go out there and take your opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life. I promise you it will return itself in tenfold. Have a fantastic Monday, and we'll see you right back here, same time, same channel on Wednesday. That's it. Have a great day, everybody. Bye now.